Well, thanks to both of you for taking the time this morning, and a pretty this is a pretty amazing thing that you guys are doing, because this isn't just a museum, right? I mean, this is when they say the Samuel Slater Experience, the experience part is definitely emphasized here, right?
That's 100% correct. Our objective was to figure out how to better educate children, and we knew that they had to remember when they were here a year later exactly what happened, and so that was our goal, and we believe we've achieved that.
Samuel Slater is very important in the history of America as an industrial powerhouse, because, he's called the father of the American Industrial Revolution. Now, why is that exactly?
That's because when he came here, he didn't just bring the idea of how you make looms and weave cloth. He came here with the idea how you run companies. For example, when he got here, all the looms were in the barns of the farmers, and there was no real control process about delivery of materials to the mills. So he set up a system to manage the whole process. So when somebody said, I want 100 yards of plaid XYZ, he could guarantee them a delivery date. So it was the whole process that he put together, not just the looms and the technology.
And so this made the town of Webster was a big industrial hub, right? It was a major place for textiles in the Northeast.
This is clearly the boom town of at least Massachusetts, one of the boom towns maybe. And our goal is to educate the children on how it was all put together. We have a map on the wall here, which will show you every loom that was built in the state, and give you an idea how many people worked there. We're trying to show that not only did the Industrial Revolution start, but it produced a major industry in the state of Massachusetts.
Now, what kind of interactive experiences do you have here? This is what makes this a unique museum, for lack of a better word. It's that people can actually get involved. There's multimedia components to this, right?
We have a lot of locations where we have images that are projected out there as a real image. The first one you see is you walk into the office of the owner of the mill in England, where Samuel was trained. And he talks to Samuel about what he's going to do now that he's finished his 7-year apprenticeship. And you see Samuel Slater talking to the owner of the mill in Belper, England.
At the time, Britain was the industrial. They had the world's monopoly on textile manufacturing, and they didn't want the colonies to have that. So the U.S. was advertising for people, and somehow Samuel Slater discovered this, and he decided to come.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He originally started in Pawtucket. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. He initially landed in New York, and a month later put in touch with Moses Brown, who is of Brown University, and he worked for Mr. Brown and his partner Almy for about 20 years. And so that was in Pawtucket. So 20 years later, he's still in kind of the same position he was in England, in that he couldn't own the mills in Rhode Island. So he went out in search of a place where he could actually set up his own mills, ones that he would own, Slater and Sons, and that was Webster.
And Slater was a true entrepreneur because he wanted his own ownership. In England, all the properties were owned by the royalty and the royalty families, and he was told by his boss when he was deciding what to do that he could never own any of those properties. So he comes here, meets with Moses Brown, and is also found that Moses Brown is not going to let him own the properties. He did get some profit sharing out of it, but he didn't own anything. So when he came to Webster, it was a true entrepreneur focused on how could he be, in the end, own his own corporations, his own businesses. But he also wanted to build them in a way a little bit different than England had. In England, they were powering a lot of the equipment through steam engines, and those engines were driven by coal, therefore created an enormous amount of black coal dust on the buildings. Slater was focused only for a long time on using water power, which of course has no coal dust in it.
Right. So he was, it sounds like way ahead of his time when it came to powering this plant, right?
Well, he believed in doing it not only economically but environmentally secure. Didn't want black buildings, and so I think you got to look at him in that sense as a very early person focused on having clean environment.
So Mike, I want to go back, if I may, your earlier question about how do you experience things. One of them is, Chris already talked about how we have, the dialogue is all done via holograms, okay? So you see the people talking. The other is, with other kinds of media, we recreate his voyage, Slater's voyage from England to New York, and so we have replicated the ship. And on that ship, the ship will feel like it's moving. There's a storm on the ship. You see lightning. You feel sea spray. You hear noise. So it's got all kinds of different, things going on. Motion, sound, wind. All the senses are included. So you feel like you're on a ship. And then we do that same thing in another part of the exhibit, which is a recreation of a mill floor. And the mill floor actually rumbles and moves underneath your feet. And there's a pulley, a shaft and pulley that's moving, and a water wheel is turning. So you're standing right in it, as if you were working there. And then we have we call interactives, which are little setups where kids, actually adults love it too. You can create your own piece of cloth. You can weave something. This is all done by computer. It's on a monitor, but it looks like you're making a piece of cloth. But instead of reading about the technology in a book, you can actually see it happening.
Right, and as we know with kids, if it's visual, if they can get their hands on it, if it's something they can get involved with, they'll remember that, which is excellent. That's great. So when does the Samuel Slater Experience? When is it officially open to the public?
No, it's March 4. That's next week, Friday.
Next week, okay. And so that's when everybody can come in and bring the kids and bring the families and get this full-on experience.
Yeah, the Friday morning is the actual official ceremonial ribbon cutting. That's on March 4 at 11 o'clock.
Nice.
And then that afternoon, the public can come.
Well, that's great. This is fantastic, and it's really great that you're spotlighting a really important part of the history of this nation, the industrial part where it really took off, and it happened in right here in central Massachusetts in Webster. So this is great. Very much looking forward to it, and thanks for all your hard work. I know it took some years to get this going, and I'm sure the pandemic didn't help, right?
There was excuses for all the delays, but we got it done in less than the traditional schedule. A building like this generally is a 7-year project. We got it done in 5, so we're happy.
Nice. I'll get into the Samuel Slater Experience in Webster. And Chris and Barbara, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to let us know about this, for working on it, for making it happen, and bringing the history of Massachusetts alive here. This is great. So thank you so much.
You have a great day, and thank you